Next up on 15 News, the Eat to the Beat concert series returns for the summer season with an added evening hour format. Ceremony for Coasting the Baseline highlights Southfield's historic link to numerous communities. And local organizations team up to build handicap-accessible play structure at Beechwoods Park. We'll have all of this and much more on this weekly edition of 15 News. Art and history converged on 8 Mile Road in Southfield at a recent ceremony designed to build bridges between communities. Coasting the Baseline is an interactive, educational celebration of history through art placed in iconic public spaces along 8 Mile Road in numerous communities. Conceptualized by the 8 Mile Boulevard Association, the program commissioned artist David Barr to design obelisks that feature commemorative factoids, pictures, and other items of local and historical significance.
This is the fourth obelisk that's being installed as part of David Barr's Coasting the Baseline project. And it was the third obelisk in my hometown in Novi where I first met David Barr. That was back in September 2011. I introduced myself as the new planner in Southfield and I said, we'd love to be your next obelisk project. And we started working on preliminary concept plans, went to the Downtown Development Authority and said, what do you think? Started working with council. We had the historic reenactment and layout in July of 2014. The plaza was first installed later that fall of 2014. The obelisk went in a year later in September of 2015. And here we are with the finishing touches today for the dedication.
The goal is to eventually have an obelisk placed in each 8 Mile community, allowing visitors to coast from one to the next, learning facts about 8 Mile as they travel along its path.
And each one, though they seem to look a little bit alike, each one is tailored specifically to the place that it is established. So in this case, you'll find that a great deal of research has been done on the history of Southfield, and that is engraved on the monument itself.
Standing at 10 feet in height, the obelisk describes surveying in the settlement of Michigan as the foundation for property ownership in the state. Michigan was the first state in the nation to be fully, successfully surveyed using modern surveying practices. Organizers hope that the installation will create a deeper sense of community and be a uniting bridge of understanding while giving motorists a valuable history lesson about 8 Mile Road.
Its significance is really that it's marking the surveying of Michigan. Now, it's interesting that Thomas Jefferson, this really began with Thomas Jefferson, so he came up with this idea of surveying that required having a baseline and a prime meridian. Now here in Michigan, we were the first state to successfully complete Jefferson's concept of surveying. And as a result, you get this sort of maximizing of the division of property so that you can maximize property ownership. There's another interesting thing he did, and that was make sure that every single township that was created through this survey system would dedicate at least one section to public education. And that public education, as we know, is incredibly important to both democracy and to happiness.
Funding for the obelisk came through private and corporate sponsorship, and the markers stretch from Lake Sinclair to Lake Michigan along the baseline. To learn more information about the Coasting the Baseline obelisk, visit cityofsouthfield.com. Southfield's popular Eat to the Beat lunchtime concerts has returned for the summer season, and with it comes good music, tasty cuisine, and fun times. The series is presented by the City of Southfield in partnership with the City Center Advisory Board, and this year features an interesting twist: after-hours concerts. In addition to its usual 12 to 2 p.m. lunchtime format, concerts have been added between 4 to 7 p.m., giving music lovers additional opportunities to listen to an eclectic roster of artists from numerous music genres. As an added bonus, the concerts will feature a variety of food trucks and fun games for the whole family. Artists slated to perform this summer range from Jazz Cycle and the Randy Brock Group to the Sun Messengers and Next Gen. The concerts take place every Thursday at the City Center Plaza located at Central Park Boulevard, 1 block west of Evergreen between Civic Center Drive and 11 Mile Road. To learn more about the Eat to the Beat, call Southfield Parks and Recreation at area code 248-796-4620. All children deserve to experience the thrill and escapism of meaningful physical play. And Southfield continues to stay committed to being a city that provides recreational opportunities for all children, including those with special needs. This was evident with the recent installation of an American with Disabilities Act or ADA compliant playground at the city's Beechwood Parks location. The project was done in collaboration with metro area organization Think Beyond the Chair, who saw an opportunity to improve on the park's special needs accessibility.
Yeah, so we have our Party in the Park every year at Beechwood Rec Center, and so since they treat us good, we thought, why not ask them if they would like an accessible and inclusive playground. We came out and we saw that they had one play structure that had a ramp, but I called it the ramp to nowhere because it literally went to a platform and that's it. So if you're a person with a disability and you were in a wheelchair, you literally only had a ramp to go up and down. So I thought we could do better than this.
Corporate sponsorship played a large part in the installation as Fiat Chrysler and others donated funds and various other resources to the project.
One of the difficulties that we have is that a lot of the parks may not have the money or may not have it in their budget anymore to do things like this. So the fact that Fiat Chrysler was willing to donate the money and then had the people allowed us to come out and help build it means it takes away the burden from local communities that may not have the funds or may not want to allocate it for that or for whatever reason. So it just makes it so it's possible and then everybody benefits from it, you know. Fiat FCA gets their name out there in a good way. The people that work there get to come out and participate, and then the people that need it have it. So.
Having been a child with special needs, Think Beyond the Chair's president knows full well the importance of having proper wheelchair access and equipment suitable for all of the park's visitors.
So I know being a child going to playgrounds, not being able to get on things, and you're kind of just sitting on the side waiting for other people to come play with you. And that's why not just accessible but inclusive play is very important. So we had thought about doing structures that were standalone. So basically, like, you would have a structure to the side that you could just roll up to. But the problem with that is you'd have to wait for other kids to come out and play with you. So, you know, we want everybody to play together. And also now that I'm a mother to a 10-month-old, I started thinking, you know, what happens when I want to take my son to the playground and he's, you know, on top of a slide and he's scared to go down. I won't be able to get to him. But with this playground, I would be able to. I could roll right up the ramps and get access to my child.
Think Beyond the Chair is a social organization that advocates for individuals with disabilities. They encourage cities and municipal organizations to recognize the importance of ADA compliance and support the goal of universal accessibility. To learn more about the organization, visit thinkbeyondthechair.org. In case you missed it, here are some of the stories that have recently unfolded in the Southfield area. In 1862, President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation opened the door for African Americans to enlist in the Union Army. Although many served in the infantry and artillery, discriminatory practices resulted in large numbers of African American soldiers being assigned to perform non-combat support duties as cooks, laborers, and teamsters. Still others were prevented from joining the Army at all. Despite those obstacles, many African Americans contributed significantly to the Union winning the Civil War. The church at Burke Park recently hosted author and Civil War researcher Alfred Talley, who discussed African American contributions to the Civil War and why many of those heroes were ordinary people fighting under extraordinary circumstances.
Some historians say that the Union might not have won the war without black support. Now, I'm not saying that, but I know for sure from my research that it certainly helped the Union win the war. And something that I never learned in school, by the way, and that's why I'm pretty much interested in it now. There were quite a few black soldiers and sailors that won the Congressional Medal of Honor during the Civil War, which I didn't know until I researched it. And some of those people, most of those people, by the way, were slaves at one time. I think of all the people I've talked about tonight, only 2 were never slaves. And everybody else had been slaves at one time in their lives. I'm also going to talk about my background and my genealogy as far as my parents and my great-grandparents were concerned, because my great-grandmother was a slave. And that's something that I think is very significant.
Presented by the Southfield Historical Society, the discussion focused on the Gettysburg Battle and spotlighted the courageous efforts of African Americans and the impact of their actions.
I did not learn in the Detroit public schools most of the information that I have mentioned this evening. Their history books during my time as a student, and especially the years when I attended elementary and intermediate school, did not have any mention of blacks fighting in the Civil War, much less that of black spies who worked for the Union, and with the exception of Harriet Tubman, very little, if any, was there any mention of black abolitionists.
To learn more about upcoming Southfield Historical Society events, call area code 248-569-9279. Holy Fandemonium. Comic conventions have become a pop culture phenomenon, uniting fans of superheroes, comic books, and science fiction TV shows and movies under one roof for an endless array of celebrities, costumes, and serious fun. This year's Motor City Comic Con certainly fit the bill, and 15 News' entertainment reporter Jim Hall was in the middle of all the action.
Motor City Comic Con 2016. And let me tell you, this is my kind of place. It's a place where you can come and let your freak flag fly. And baby, there's a lot of people doing it today. This is such a fun event, and anybody who loves pop culture, comic books, movies, books, science fiction, fantasy, horror, it's all here. It's an amazing 3-day weekend, and I'm going to try to show you a little bit of it. Let's take a look.
A lot of us artists spend time in our studios. Mine happens to be in a basement, so I feel very trapped and very isolated when I'm working and very alone. It's an isolating process. So to get out, not out just out into the real world, but out into the real world where there are fans that are coming to tell you why what you do is important to them, it's just so satisfying and helps you remember. It recharges the batteries so that you can go back and do more work.
And this is particularly exciting for me. I grew up in Ann Arbor, spent time in Jackson, U of M graduate, and to me this is my hometown con. Now I've not been to a Motor City Comic Con in 20 years, so to come back, back then I was some snot-nosed kid, a fan. Now I'm back here as a guest.
Snot-nosed guest, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was snot-nosed guest, but it's always fun to come home.
It's where you can go. You can be yourself and meet like-minded people, or just people who want to come in and like rub shoulders with huge media guests like me and Ming Chen. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, and when I was growing up as a kid back in the day, I knew like 3 people who read comics and were into pop culture. Me and Mike just get made fun of for reading comics. Now, we're gathered with 50,000 plus people who love books. Like this is what I dreamed about growing up, and now I have it. Now anybody can go to a con like this and hang out with people who are like-minded and who love the same things they do. It's great to have that.
It's neat, especially since Mouse Guard started at this show. I launched the first issue as a self-published one back in 2005, so to be back where it all started, like this is where Mouse Guard was hatched. Mouse Guard's a medieval fantasy comic about mice with swords that protect the common mouse against predators and weather conditions, because when you're a mouse, the world is very, very big, and a rainstorm, like that's huge flooding. That's you can't get from one town to another anymore without boats or leaf boats or going way around the bend on high ground. So there's this intrepid group called the Mouse Guard that are mice that wear cloaks and have weapons and go out, and they're not really soldiers. They're not knights. They're not mercenaries. They're more like pathfinders. They watch the weather conditions. They map via the stars. They do have the weapons so that when they encounter a predator, they can hold their own or try to. But they're really just there doing the good work that needs to be done in order for the rest of mouse civilization to not just survive, but thrive.
Well, I think if you were going to sum up Motor City Comic Con, it's just a place to let your love of comic books, pop culture, and all things geek, it's a place to come celebrate all that. This was just an absolutely amazing 3-day event. I recommend you plan to come for 2017. I guess that's going to wrap it up for me. and I'll look forward to talking to you.
Excuse me, sir. It's time for you to leave.
It looks like we've overstayed our welcome at the 2016 Comic-Con, but we always have a place to explore the worlds of comics at our Southfield Library. With tons of books and media to choose from, the Southfield Public Library offers an excellent selection of material for any comic geek. Let's check it out.
Okay, well, this is just a small snippet of our graphic novel and comic book collection. I pulled a couple titles that have some really high pop culture appeal. So there's Daredevil, which has a Netflix TV show, iZombie, we have that. So this is exciting because we're actually doing an Alice in Wonderland program later this summer called Book to Art. But you can see that this is Batman through the looking glass, and he engages with Alice, or at least this version of Alice, which is different, which is just exciting with the big anniversary and everything coming up. So.
For kids who want to learn more about a superhero's past, or their let's say their villains or their history, we have several books like this. This happens to be the Fantastic Four. I know we've got Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, all the Avengers, things like that. And then also these are in the nonfiction area. We have this, like the Big Book of Superheroes. What are some of the things? We have books on what is the physics behind a superhero. I remember when I was a little guy, I used some word, big word in context, and my father just looked at me and goes, "Where did you learn that?" I said, "Fantastic Four," and he said, "Seriously? Show me." So I showed him, and he goes, "Okay, you can read more comic books." Ta-da! Look at me now. That's the way it works, folks. You just get people reading, and you let them go.
So anyone who's a resident of Southfield or Lathrop Village can just bring in their driver's license or picture ID and get a library card. If you work in Southfield or you attend school in Southfield, you can also get a card. And then we also have reciprocal borrowing with a lot of local libraries. So if you have an Oak Park card, you can use that here. You just need to register it at the front desk.
You know what? I think I'm going to stay here for a little bit, and I'll see you soon on another adventure. That brings us to the end of the 15 News Weekly Edition. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by searching for Southfield Multimedia Services. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.
This is Dax. He's a 1-year-old domestic short hair. He is neutered, up to date in all of his shots. He's great with other cats, great with dogs, and he is litter box trained. This is Riley. She's a 3-year-old domestic short hair. She's up to date in all of her shots, and she is fixed. She's great with kids, great with other cats, and great with dogs. She's also litter box trained, so that's a plus. She's a 2-year-old tiger cat. She's up to date in all of her shots, and she is fixed. She's great with other cats, great with dogs, and also great with kids. For more information on Terry or any other animals here at Almost Home, please visit our website or give us a call. Thanks.